Hey there, everybody. Welcome into the CLNS Media Patriots pregame show. Take two. If you caught the first one, we had a little glitch there, a little technological difficulty, but we are back here live on the CLNS Media YouTube page. We're getting you ready for the Patriots and the Panthers kicking off at 1 o'clock. My name is Alex Barth. Thanks for tuning in. I want to remind everybody, we have your Patriots coverage all day. I will take you up until 12:30. Mike Petraglia at Trags on Twitter will have you throughout the game, and then Mike and Marv are back post-game to break it all down. So if you want to be filled in on the Patriots between now and then, keep it with CLNS all day. As for the pregame show, I got my notes I want to touch on, but as always, I want to tailor the show to you guys. What do you want to talk about? So, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, you disagree with something I'm saying, put it in the chat over there on the right. We're also live on Periscope if you want to check that out as well. You can put it in the chat down there. More than happy to talk about it. Again, this is the Patriots CLNS Media pregame show, getting you ready for Week 4. Between the Patriots and the Panthers. And before we start, of course, we've got to thank the good people at Greats who are bringing you this episode. They are the maker of the all-time greats, classic, stylish, and comfortable sneakers sold at a great price. Greats is Brooklyn's first sneaker company. They sell all the great shoes, classic styles, made the best for less. They have a wide selection, both men's and women's, any styles suitable for any occasion. They got tons of different colors and materials to choose from, whatever suits you best. I know I'm very particular when it comes to my sneakers, and they were able to handle my demands. Their best sellers include the all-leather Royal lace-ups and the Worcester slip-ons. My current shoes right now, they got holes in them. I'll definitely be checking out Greats to get my next pair. You can check those out along with lots of other great styles at greats.com. And get this right now, because you're listening, we got a special offer for you. Save 15% on your first order with our offer code TRAGS. Go to greats.com, that's GREATS.com, and be sure to enter TRAGS, that's TRAGS, to save 15% at checkout. Greats believes so much in their shoes, they offer a no-risk return and exchange policy to guarantee you get the right style you love. So you order your shoes. I know sometimes ordering online is weird. It doesn't look the same. Guess what? You don't like your order? No worries. Send it back. They'll hook you up with what you wanted. That's greats.com. Use our code TRAGS to save 15%. We'd like to thank Greats for sponsoring the show. All right. On to the football at hand. The Patriots and the Panthers getting ready to get underway. First time these teams have met since 2013. Remember that night game? The holding. Now he knows it's holding Luke Kuechly on Rob Gronkowski in the end zone to end that game. But both teams have come a long way. Each has made a Super Bowl appearance in that time. The Patriots have actually made a couple. Panthers are 0-1. The Patriots are 1-1 in that span. But, of course, all that matters is on the field today. Let's start, as we always do, with the inactives for today's game. And this may be the cleanest sheet we'll see from the Patriots. It will be the cleanest sheet we've seen from the Patriots this year. Week 4, they're pretty much healthy. Rex Burkhead, the only name that stands out to me is a guy they want to be a part of this game plan who's not in. He still has the rib injury. He's missing. I believe it's now his second week in a row. So no Rex Burkhead today. Brandon King was working out before the game. He was a game-time decision. He will be out. David Harris as well, a guy that I thought when they signed him from the Jets was going to be a factor in this defense. I thought Belichick got a guy that really fit his style, but maybe you just wanted the Jet secrets from him. I don't know. He's an insurance piece, a guy that played over 95% of snaps in the last 8 years, has not been able to really see the field that much this year for the Patriots. In terms of the actives, Cody Hollister was a game-time decision. Jacob Hollister was a game-time decision. He'll play. His brother Cody's on the practice squad. Jacob Hollister is a game-time decision. He will be active today. He had that one great catch last week. Remember when he took the hit going up the seam on the right side? So we'll see him, which is big for me because, as you know, if you've been watching the show throughout the season, I am not high on Dwayne Allen. I think Hollister really should be in that second tight end spot. I think he's earned it, especially in throwing situations if you don't need that guy to block. So he'll be active today. Donta Hightower returns, his first game since the opener. He missed the last two. He is back. He's expected to play. Eric Rowe missed last week. He will play today, which is important against both those guys against a potent Carolina passing attack that likes to use the tight end. And all the wide receivers, save of course Malcolm Mitchell and Julian Edelman, who are on IR, will be active today. That means Amendola is good to go. That means Dorsett's good to go. Cooks, of course, is good to go. Hogan's good to go. They will have their full complement of wide receivers, their full complement of tight ends. Every running back except Rex Burkhead, the offensive line, everybody's set after missing one of the tackles last week. So the Patriots should be in good shape health-wise today as they take on the Carolina Panthers. Again, my name's Alex Barth. This is the CLNS Media Patriots pregame show. If you have any questions or comments, things you want to touch on, put them in the chat over there on the right, or if you're watching on Periscope, you can put them in the comments down below. More than happy to get to it. We already have one person checking in saying it's just a happy for Hightower kind of thing. And yes, I think we're all very happy. The way this defense has been carved up, the worst first 3 weeks an NFL defense has ever had in terms of yards, which we know Belichick doesn't go off of yards, but it still stands out. They get their leader back. They get the captain back. They get the green dot back. He hopefully is still fired up like I am from the Alabama thrashing of Ole Miss last night. Alabama lumped onto Hightower. I think he could be in for a good game today. It's going to be on him and Kyle Van Noy, those two linebackers, to take care of Christian McCaffrey, the rookie running back, the 8th pick in the draft that Carolina has worked intricately into their offense. Now, I was not high on the McCaffrey pick. Carolina threw to their running backs. Only one team threw to their running backs less than the Carolina Panthers did last year. McCaffrey's not a running back who's, well, going to run the ball. You want to throw it to him. You want to pitch it to him, get him outside the tackles. Carolina has reworked their offense around this guy. It has been able to give Cam Newton opportunities to stay in the pocket, not run as much, take less hits, which Carolina wants him to do. Frankly, I don't think that makes him as effective. And that's a key for the Patriots today, is to keep Newton in the pocket. But Hightower being back, Van Noy, who had a good game last week, I think those two guys are going to be important today in containing Christian McCaffrey, who is probably, with Greg Olsen out with the broken leg, Carolina's second best offensive weapon. Their best offensive weapon, Kelvin Benjamin. People weren't sure if he'd play this week, knee injury. He is active. The reports are he is good to go. He will play. The question remains for the Florida State wide receiver, is it a distraction, or is he actually going to be a factor today? He is somebody you need to pay attention to. He's a bigger wide receiver. That's always where Malcolm Butler has the problems. They may put Stephon Gilmore on him. And there better be help over the top. We talked about this on the show last week. I needed to see something from Stephon Gilmore last week in the game. He was up and down. He had the pick. It was right to him. He had a bad penalty. He had a good penalty. It was an interesting week last week for Stephon Gilmore. He certainly showed up on the field, though. You saw him around. Now, the talk this week, and this is interesting, has been that they're keeping the responsibility on him light, similar to Darrelle Revis in 2014, in order to assimilate him into the defense, get the communication lines working, and that way, when they get to week 7 or 8, they can really ramp it up. We'll see if he has an increased workload, a little more man-to-man this week. I would expect he will be the matchup for Benjamin. Not much for Carolina in the way of wide receivers. Devin Funch is their number 2 wide receiver, and that's a guy that Malcolm Butler should be able to take care of. I know he struggled this year, but he should be able to take care of Funches, take him out of the game. And not having Greg Olsen is a huge blow to this Carolina Panthers team, although they have managed to go 2-1. They did start 2-0 before falling last week. Again, my name is Alex Barth. You're watching the CLNS Media Patriots pregame show. You can follow CLNS on Twitter for all their Patriots coverage at CLNS Media. Follow Mike Petraglia at Trags during the game. He will have all your updates. And Mike and Marv post-game will break it all up. They'll take your questions and comments on the Patriots and the Panthers. And I have this circled in my notes because I want to touch on this. If you've heard of the term trap game, this is absolutely a trap game for the Patriots. They don't come much trappier than this. You're coming off the very emotional in-conference win over the Texans. You stay at home against a team that you really should beat, and then you're going to have a short week, Thursday Night Football, on the road against a good Tampa Bay team. I know they got trashed by Minnesota last week, but that's a good team, at least a good offense. So it'll be interesting to look. Belichick is the king of the 1 week at a time. The king of the 1 week at a time. But you got that short week going on the road coming up. Yeah, this is a trap game. The Patriots historically do not fare well in trap games. My mind goes back, I want to say it was 2010? The Peyton Hillis game against the Browns, when he ran for almost 200 yards on him. That was in between the Steelers and who was the other AFC contender that year? I want to say it was the Broncos, but I'm not positive. They were facing 2 of the top 3 teams in the AFC, and the Browns on the road in between, and Peyton Hillis ran roughshod over. That, to me, it always seems like the Patriots in these track games. The Kansas City game, not this year, 2 years ago, in Kansas City, the Monday Night Massacre was a trap game. Because remember, the Bengals were really good at that point. And the Patriots had come off a tough game, a tough win against Oakland. Derek Carr's rookie year. So, trap game today. How are they going to handle it? How are they going to focus? The good news is, and this maybe applies more to the Tampa Bay game than this game, and we'll talk about this on Thursday. I've talked about it before. The NFC South is really just kind of the Big 12's NFL chapter. It's deep passes thrown down the field, high tempo, fast-paced offenses. You can use some of your game plan for Carolina against Tampa Bay. You have similar quarterbacks. Winston's going to stay in the pocket more than Newton, although it's getting more and more similar as Carolina tries to protect Cam Newton. You've got those big wide receivers, Kelvin Benjamin, Mike Evans. Carolina doesn't have an answer for Deshaun Jackson, which again makes Tampa Bay the better team, but there's going to be similarities how you approach these games defensively. You can't just carbon copy your defensive game plan, of course, but there are going to be carryovers that you can use from this game plan today into the Tampa Bay game plan. Maybe that makes it more of a trap game. Maybe that makes it less of a trap game. I'm kind of going back and forth in my head about that. I can't really tell. Because you never want to look ahead, but at the same time, gets you extra focus because you know you're going to be running these assignments for 2 weeks. And that mostly applies to the linebackers and to the safeties, McCourty and Chung. Chung did not look good last week, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. I just want to remind everybody this is the CLNS Media Patriots pregame show. Make sure you follow CLNS on Twitter at CLNS Media. If you guys have any questions, something you think I'm not touching on, feel free to put it in the chat. More than happy to talk about it. We're going to get into Tom Brady in a little bit. In about 10 minutes, we'll talk Tom Brady, his chemistry with Brandon Cooks, how that's coming along. Let's finish up with the defense, though. Talk about Patrick Chung. Again, I didn't think he looked great last week. Patrick Chung's, and I think I talked about this last week on the show, Patrick Chung's first stint in New England, the pre-Philadelphia Eagles phase, he was an undersized linebacker. He was a total liability in coverage. He couldn't stick on a fullback. He had his moments, and there were times when he was useful to the team, but really not as a traditional safety. He was solely an in-the-box safety. Goes to Philadelphia for a couple of years with Chip Kelly, comes back. Yeah, we can get to the standings in a second here. Goes to Chip Kelly in Philly, comes back, and all of a sudden he can cover a little bit. Enough to lock up with some tight ends. Now, if Greg Olsen was playing today, I wouldn't say put a man up with Greg Olsen, but he's been able to cover a little bit. Flash forward to this year. He's getting beat. He looks slow. He hasn't really been able to jump well. He's kind of reverted back into that first Patrick Chung where I'm not confident when I see him one-on-one in coverage. He got beat by Alvin Kamara 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to remember who he got beat by last week. I think it was the running back again. It was a running back or tight end last week who beat him. I need to see more out of him. Or more Deron Harmon on the field, the closer. Because the Patriots, they like to operate with that in-the-box safety, but they don't need to, especially with the cachet of linebackers they have. Not a huge fan of Patrick Chung's game the first couple weeks. We will see. It could be the kind of thing. He is always a player where he gets better as the season goes on. So maybe it's an early season slump for him. Am I overreacting? Quite possibly, yeah. But he's somebody who stood out to me on this defense as somebody who could probably bring a little more, especially in terms. He hasn't even been getting the typical hits in. He's generally a guy who lays the lumber. He hasn't even been doing that. So last week I circled Stephon Gilmore on defense. This week I'm going to take a look at Patrick Chung, keep it in the secondary, especially because Deron Harmon has looked good through the first couple of games, and I'm not overreacting to that interception last week. He's always the closer. It's always him at the end of games. It is always him who has that interception on the final play, but overall I think he's looked good. Really haven't said his name much, and that's kind of what you want out of a good player in the secondary, especially a coverage guy like Harmon. The only reason you should be saying their name is you're not expecting them to do good, such as Jonathan Jones. All right, Jonah on YouTube wants me to talk about the standings. I'm assuming you mean the NFL standings here. It's week 3, so 3 weeks in, pardon me. It's week 4. Not much to go on, but it is interesting. As of right now, the first place team in the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills, at 2-1. The Patriots are 2-1. The Dolphins are 1-1. I believe they're going to be 1-2. I think I saw they're getting beat out in Europe. They had the 9:30 start time. I've been getting ready for the show for the last half hour, so I didn't get a chance to check that. The Jets are 1-2, helping my pick of the Jets not being the worst team in football. But as I pull up the standings, you look at points against. 2 teams have allowed more than 90 points. Nobody else allowed more than 76. 2 teams have allowed over 90. The Colts, who have an all-time bad defense, and have allowed 90 on the dot, and the Patriots have allowed 95. So just more emphasis on the defense this week. And Carolina's not a team that's been scoring well. I know they're 2-1, but they're not a team that's been scoring well. You need to be able to handle this Carolina team if you're the Patriots this week. You do. It kind of goes back to the Saints a couple weeks ago. It's an NFC South team. They've got weapons, but you should be able to beat them. Again, this is the New England Patriots pregame show brought to you by CLNS Media. My name is Alex Barth. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat below or over there in the chat below if you're watching on Periscope, if you're watching on YouTube. The chat box over there on the right. More than happy to touch on any element of this game in the Patriots season so far. We're at the quarter pole already. It's October 1st. We're going to be 25% through the season after Monday night. After 4 o'clock today for the Patriots. Hopefully after 4 o'clock. Can't have a long game. We got one more day of baseball. How about, who's excited for Thursday? I'll tell you, this show on Thursday, I know it's the Patriots pregame show, and we will talk mostly Patriots, but you'll have the Red Sox first game of the postseason. You have the Bruins first game. Tune in. It'll be interesting on Thursday. We're probably going to touch on some things here and there. Bruins, Red Sox, and Patriots. It's going to be a great day. It has me flashing back to the Ortiz grand slam, Kenbrell Tompkins touchdown day of a couple. Frankly, last week had me flashing back to it too, with the Brandon Cooks touchdown. That was totally a unicorn show ponies. Where's the beef kind of moment. And speaking of those heroics, let's talk Tom Brady. We've been on. How long have we been on the air? We've been on the air for a decent amount. We are like 16 minutes into the show. I've barely mentioned Tom Brady. Save the best for last, I guess. We'll call it that. Tom Brady, I hate it, and this is mostly a baseball thing. You know, they'll say a pitcher outside of his month of May and 2 starts in June was great. We got a question here, and then I'll get to Tom Brady. What do you make of all the injuries the Patriots have? So I said this off the top of the show. Thanks for the question to AlphaMan713. They've survived them. I mean, I don't remember them being this unlucky with injuries in a long time. But they've survived them, and we're going to get as healthy of a look today as we have all year. And I'm excited for that. Rex Burkhead's really the only name from a game plan point of view who you're going to miss. They got the full offensive line, which they didn't have last week. They have all the wide receivers that they should have, save the 2 guys on IR in Mitchell and Edelman. They're going to have everybody they want on defense. Hightower's back, Rose back. What do I make of the injuries? I think they survived better than they really should have through the first couple of weeks. Last week, I was really scared. I came on the show. I was talking about the offensive line not having either your starting tackles, being worried about that. If you asked me that question last week, I would say it's going to end up burying them. But the way they survived that last week, I really believe that they're on the upswing. Look, there's still a lot of football left to play in this season, but as of right now, they've survived those injuries. Thanks for the question. Back to Tom Brady. And so, as I was saying, I hate it in baseball when they go, you throw out his May, you throw out a start in June, a start in September when it was raining, and he had an ERA of whatever. But if you throw out that Kansas City start, Tom Brady's first 2 games have probably been as good as any he's played back-to-back. He's got, 9 touchdowns in the 2, almost 1,000 yards. Even if you put in that first game, that first Chiefs game in which he wasn't good, but he wasn't really bad, where is the cliff that Tom Brady was supposed to fall off of? Because I want to go jump off of it. If falling off a cliff does that to you, I want to fall off that cliff. We should all be lucky to fall off a cliff in such manner. And every year, Tom Brady kind of secretly goes into the laboratory and tweaks a little part of his game that people are critiquing and comes out the next year and wows everybody. Oh, that was a weakness for Tom Brady. Now he's so good. It goes back to the pliability. He had no mobility. He picked up mobility. In this year, it's been the deep ball. And the acquisition of Brandon Cooks really helps with that. But his deep ball has been great. And that's a huge part of it. And what 40-year-old quarterback comes out and is throwing the deep ball like they're 25? We've been seeing the tweet all week about it being the anniversary of Brady's first start, and the newspaper in Indianapolis saying that there was no chance a guy named Tom Brady could win the game, something that would be written sarcastically now. They meant it very seriously. He's better now than he was at 24, which is just mind-blowing to me. And to see the start he's had, you have to wonder, what are we going to be? How many more off seasons do we have of is this Brady's last year? What's happening with Jimmy Garoppolo? I talked a little bit last week about Malcolm Butler possibly being on the trade block, Alan Branch possibly being on the trade block. I think Branch still is. Given all the injuries, this actually goes back to the point I was just making about, let's tie this into the injury point, the question we had a little bit ago. If this team continues to get racked up with injuries, given the way Tom Brady's playing, you can't, the way he's playing right now, it would be irresponsible to think, okay, he's not going to be good enough next year. It would be irresponsible to think that at this point. Does Jimmy Garoppolo become a tradable piece? They just picked up, who was it? The quarterback from Oregon State, Washington State, some names escaping me. They just picked up some practice squad quarterback to add another quarterback onto the roster. Does that mean perhaps Jimmy Garoppolo could be on the way out? What is it? They moved it back to week 8, I believe. Brady, he's almost playing better than he was last year. And now it's only 2 games, but he was a borderline MVP last year. Taylor Hinkie from Old Dominion. Bit of a mobile guy. But if they're bringing in a quarterback, and Tom Brady's playing this way, does Jimmy Garoppolo have job security in New England? They're going to have to do something with him this offseason. Franchise and trade or re-sign. They're not just going to let him walk. I would be shocked if they just let him hit the open market. Do they, the way Brady is playing, possibly move Garoppolo? Not right now. Not today. Week 7, week 8, if the injuries continue to pile up. They need another wide receiver. Malcolm Mitchell's injury is worse than we thought. He's going to miss the whole season. Who knows what's going to happen with Gronk? Maybe Rex Burkhead's injury is worse than they thought. They feel they need another running back. Maybe they need another corner. Maybe Gilmore doesn't improve and Butler stays in this slump. And they feel they need to make that move to make a run. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to grab you a great player. He's going to grab you a player that will make a difference the minute he steps on the field. And if you feel like you can move that guy, because you have another 3 or 4 years with Tom Brady, and there's a very strong quarterback class coming up in the draft. The next 2 years, really. They're going to have another shot at getting that guy. And who knows, maybe that guy goes for another 4 years. Brady wants to play till he's 45. If they draft a guy this offseason, that means his contract would expire before Brady leaves. It would be the next guy would be a rookie, and then Brady would retire. What do you think? Weigh in. Hit me with your comments on that on Periscope and YouTube. My name's Alex Barth. This is the CLNS Media Patriots pregame show. Taking you up to Patriots Panthers at 1 o'clock. We're getting ready to wrap this thing up here in the next couple of minutes or so. So if you have any last-minute questions or comments you want to get in, please feel free. Put them in the comments. If you're on Periscope, YouTube, whatever, hit me with it. I'm interested to hear what you all think about this Jimmy Garoppolo take. Could he possibly be on the move? Do you think Malcolm Butler saved his job last week? Or his spot on the roster? Do you think Alan Branch is still a guy to move? Do you care with how little he's played? Adam Butler had another great game last week. This guy's going to be here for a long time. I don't want to say he's at that level, but the way he plays, he reminds me of Vince Wilfork. Big guy, supremely athletic, nimble, quick. Belichick loves this guy. Remember, there were a couple years there, a couple really good years of Vince Wilfork when he played defensive end at 330 pounds. There are very few guys in this league who can do that. And Adam Butler, still early. It's been 3 games. But if he projects towards what we've seen through these 3 games, is one of the guys who can do that. And Bill loves that kind of mobility on the field, change positions, all that. A guy I was watching last night, Minka Fitzpatrick in Alabama. Oh, Belichick ever gets his hands on him, he can play about 7 different positions. He is a stud. Again, but back to the Patriots and the Panthers pregame show on CLNS Media. If you guys have any last-minute questions, get those in. Patriots, again, coming in at 2-1. Panthers at 2-1. Brady and Newton, last time these teams met, 2013. That was the last-second loss on the Hail Mary to Gronkowski. The holding, now he admits it on Luke Kuechly. Kuechly coming back to Boston. Remember, he was a BC standout. The great linebacker after Mark Herzlich, back when BC wasn't a complete joke. So he'll be back in the area today. I believe that's the only New England connection with the Panthers as I rack my brain. I think that's it. But, yeah, so if you guys have any last-second questions, get those in. In terms of game plan today for the Patriots, I think we're going to see a lot of Mike Gillislee again. They seem to like to use him early in games, and I hope they keep stretching the field. They didn't do it much week 1. They've done it since. I like that game plan from them. They should stick with it. Against a battered Carolina secondary, there's no point in running the ball on this team. I was getting ready to blow up about it last week if they lost. Stop running the ball on tough fronts. They did it against Kansas City too. This is a team you beat by throwing the ball. You have the best quarterback in history under center. Try to ride him to a win. That's what it's got to be today. Should be a big game for Gronk. So, okay, you know what? Let me change that a little bit here. I expect Kuechly to be up at the line defending the run. Now, if he's in coverage on Rob Gronkowski, which they have done at times, the Panthers have done at times, use Kuechly in coverage, then yes, run the ball to draw Kuechly back up to the line of scrimmage. But if Kuechly, and then you can throw to Gronk, of course. If Kuechly's at the line, Gronk, all game. That I think you're basing your offensive game plan on where Luke Kuechly is. Belichick loves to key his defensive game plan around offensive game plan around one defensive player and pick on him. It's generally the best or worst player on the field. I know it seems weird. That's what Belichick does. Kuechly seems like the kind of guy to me where you're play calling based on where he's lining up and what his assignments are early in the game. Patriots use a script system. 10 plays are predetermined. First 10, 15 plays, whatever it is. Catch Kuechly, see where he is on those first couple of plays, and then go from there. Again, my name is Alex Barth. This is the CLNS Media Patriots pregame show. If you guys have any questions or comments here before we wrap it up, you can put them down in the chat, either down in the chat on Periscope, to the right in the chat on YouTube. I want to remind everybody, Mike Petraglia takes over our Patriots coverage during the game. You can follow him on Twitter at Trags. And then Mike and Marv will have you post-game with all the recaps and all of that. You can follow CLNS Media on Twitter to get all of it at CLNS Media. You can visit them online at clnsmedia.com. You can follow me on Twitter as well, at TheRealAlexB. I'll be talking on Twitter. We can continue the conversation on there as well. All right, that's going to just about do it for this week, unless we have any last-second questions or comments here on the game. I think it is a Fox game, so we get Tony Romo back next week, which is nice. I'm not sure who the crew is today. I think it's Aikman. I think it's Buck and Aikman, but I'm not sure. If it is, good luck to all of us. I'll probably be on mute. 98.5 The Sports Hub. Turn them on. Zoe and Sosi. But next week we get Romo back, so that's big. Either way, back-to-back Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks for us. So yay. That's going to do it for the CLNS Media Patriots pregame show. My name's Alex Barth. I want to thank everybody at CLNS for putting me on the air. Next week, the show is on Thursday, so we will not be on Sunday. We will be Thursday, 8:30 kick. We will be on the air at 7:30. You can find it all on the CLNS Media Twitter page, at CLNS Media. So short week. I will talk to you then. Everybody enjoy the game.